As an Angular developer and instructor, I would often post some code snippets related to Angular, explaining some tips and tricks behind it on my socials and on my blog. But recently, it had got really difficult for me because of a difficult process and because of time constraints. So I had to take a snapshot of the code piece that I wanted to share. I would save it on my system. I would use Buffer, which is my social media manager, to actually upload the image. I would write a description for the LinkedIn post, which would be a bit longer, the X post, which would be a bit shorter, and then I would post that. And after that, I would also want to post on the blog. Obviously, for a blog, I would need a cover image which would match that, and a blog would be the focus content explaining all of that step by step, the code snippet, so that it becomes useful for those who are visiting my blog. So, all of these steps sound small, but they were actually taking a lot of time. And so, it took me about maybe 30 minutes or more to actually post a single snippet. So, I thought, why not build an Angular app to actually streamline this whole process? And the result was this code snippet publisher app. So I built this app using Google AI Studio, which is Google's vibe coding platform. And I did about 30 plus iterations, which actually led to this final piece of app here, which I use for my social snippet sharing now. And if I show you this app in just a short description, you can see that we have a title that we can take for our snippet, a description which will explain that, and this would directly copy into the LinkedIn post. And then we have the code snippet itself, which is then nicely highlighted here as a snapshot preview with syntax highlighting. And then when you click on generate and publish content, it's going to do all of the hard work for us. And you can see it says generating social media posts. So it's creating all of the content for that. And finally, we have the result here. So you can see that we have a social post section here in which we can just copy the snapshot, and I could just post it in my buffer here like this. Okay, and it's really quick and easy. And then for the Twitter post, I could just copy paste this text. I could just copy this text in the LinkedIn part of that buffer, and I could just post it really quickly in a matter of seconds. And then I also have this automatically generated AI cover image using the title and the code snippet itself, along with a nice visual, a code tip. I can regenerate this if I want to, and I also have the blog content along with it. Okay, and when I click on republish to blog or automatically as well, it would post it on my Next.js blog locally, which is exposed as a local webhook server, as you can see. So this is the node server that was actually also created by Google AI Studio for me. And as you can see, it was listening on this port, and the blog post was created at this blog Angular responsive service. And if I show you my previous blog, you can now see that this was a blog actually. This was using this. I just posted this last night. This is a real example of my this. You can check it out on zoebkhan.com/blog in the category Angular snippet. And you can see we have about 5 snippets that I have generated till now using this same method. All right. So now while vibe coding this, how did I actually do this? As you can see there, as I said that were about 30 plus iterations in which I talked to the AI, and the app went through different stages, all right? So there were a lot of decisions that I made. And so in this video, I'm going to actually give you 5 decisions that I made. And for each of the decisions that I made to actually make this work, I am going to show you the snapshots. I have these 5 snapshots that I show you here. I'm going to show you exactly how the app evolved into what it is in this final version, all right? So that you can know a bit about the process and how you can actually use AI to the best of your abilities to actually work for you rather than work against you and go here and there. So let's get started. So first, let me take you to the Google AI Studio and let me show you the first prompt that I used actually to create this app. So the first prompt I started was that I want an app which takes in a piece of code with a title and a little description optional and does the following. So it generates a code snippet in carbon.sh format, posts that image with the title in the extract on my social channel, and creates a blog post using a script on my Next.js blog and pushes to Git. Okay, so this was the overall vision of my app. Now, obviously, it was an ideal. We did not achieve everything in this, but it sets the tone for what I want the AI to do. And at the end of this, I especially said the UI should look good, and I want to use Angular and all of its latest APIs and best practices so that the code quality is according to my own liking here. Okay, so firstly, it messed it up and it did not create anything that I wanted, all right? So I said that, okay, you misunderstood. I want the app to generate an image of the code entered, okay? So then it created this version that I have here. And strangely, it actually created an AI powered image generation. Now, I didn't have this idea that, okay, you could use AI to actually create a snapshot using the code, all right? So this was the first version that it came up with, and you can see that it had a generated snapshot here like this, but the snapshot itself was an image. So it was using image generation for generating the code snippet. Now there were a couple of issues with this, all right? And so this was the first decision that I made, that this was not the right way to do it. So you have to recognize the bad architecture choices an AI is making, and you have to correct it to steer it in the right direction. So first of all, it was expensive. Every generation would cost me a lot. And secondly, as you can see the snapshot here, it's all jumbled up because image generation is not really precise. I wanted precise syntax according to what I wrote here. And obviously you can also see that there is no syntax highlighting here as well. The formatting is off. It's making things up on the fly. So it added TypeScript here by itself. So it's really weird how it generated that. So I said promptly that the generated snapshot looks very bad. The code is all jumbled up. Now it tried improving things a bit, but ultimately it wasn't. So I then suggested it's something else. So because I had an idea that okay, why not we just do it in the HTML app? We use the local syntax. We use a DOM element and then we capture the DOM element somehow. And somehow I had heard of Puppeteer, for example, as a testing end-to-end testing library which took snapshots of your UI and you could use it for automated testing. So I said that, okay, I'm thinking if it's a better idea to use Puppeteer or some such snapshot tool to get a snapshot of the code from the app itself. And this was a light bulb moment for the AI, it seemed. And it says that you have hit a brilliant and much more robust solution. And it suggested HTML to Canvas, which was a small library to do the same thing that I was asking Puppeteer to do. So oftentimes for AI, you would need to suggest different solutions to it based on your own understanding as well. And so I steered this in a better direction. And that led me to the next snapshot here, which was, as you can see, a much better formatted code here. And the snapshot itself is just an HTML DOM element here, as you can see here. Okay. Secondly, decision number 2. So secondly, then I went into a whole discussion with AI, the next problem that I had to solve. And that problem was that I wanted it to directly post on my socials, this image, because it looked good. I wanted to post it on my social. So I went into a sort of uh, rabbit hole with the AI. And the great thing about using these AI tools is that everything is contained in the AI tool. I don't need to use Google for separate searching or context switch things. So I directly said that, okay, I want the app to directly post a social post on my account. How to implement this? So then we went into a lot of discussion. It suggested complex OAuth processes and a backend server to do that. And for media, we would need API integration because there's a more complex process involved for posting media on social channels. So all of that really was a bit more complex. So I didn't want to go through that route. Secondly, we also discussed about the security aspects, and we also discussed about whether having a backend is feasible for this. So I specifically asked, give me a plan to implement a backend for this purpose. And it gave me a whole plan about how this would work, how would the API calls you would make, and all of that stuff. But there was a sort of a stumbling block, and that was that I would need developer accounts for each of the social media channels if I wanted to implement this myself. And so I set the exact same constraint to the AI. I sent that constraint to the AI, and at the end, the AI suggested that, okay, it's much better to do it locally here. Okay, so the AI added a share on X or a copy for LinkedIn button here so that we could just directly copy this and we could download the snapshot and copy that here. Okay, so this was a simple solution for posting off the socials. So this was decision number 2, where we settled for the less than ideal case according to our own constraints by communicating with AI about our constraints and about our unique specific circumstances. Okay, so the third decision was really important, and that was while creating the first version, the AI was basically doing code generation using the DOM, that is fine, but it was still using syntax highlighting using an AI call on Gemini. That looked really weird to me. So if I show you this up here, it actually said AI for syntax highlighting. Now, because I had some technical knowledge and I knew that I was using code syntax highlighting using Shakai and Prism or some such JavaScript libraries, and it was really trivial to do it on the DOM, I was thinking, why is it using AI for that purpose? So I suggested to it to actually change that, all right, because I knew that was a better way. This was me recognizing when the AI is going overkill or over engineering the solution to a problem. So I specifically, in my next version, I specifically said, can we switch from using Gemini for syntax highlight to an easier way using Prism or Shakai? and it automatically said that, okay, Shiki is a successor to Shiki for syntax highlighting. It is much faster, and the upside was that we would also be able to have real-time changes, real-time syntax highlighting, just as we typed using that. I improved the app in this way by using my existing knowledge as a developer. Okay, so far so good. We had a nice little snapshot and we could post on socials by using copy text, copy snapshot, open buffer even to post it on my buffer account. But we still needed to generate the blog post. So in the next iteration, I had to actually create functionality for that. So at this point, then I basically became a product manager. And I basically was telling the AI to generate a focused blog post, create prompts to actually create a focused blog post using this code and the description and the title, and also a nice little cover image, because for my blog I needed a cover image. I said that for the cover image, I would like an AI generated image, but with only a shortened title telling what the code snippet is, and along with it some suitable popping visual for emphasis and interest, like the graphics in this YouTube thumbnail. So I had generated some AI thumbnail previously for one of my videos, and I plugged that in and I said that, okay, I would like to use this style, all right? And I also gave a link to my blog, a sample blog, so that the size and aspect ratio would be the same for the cover image. So what it came up was something similar, but I needed a few more iterations to it. And you can see the final result was this, but how I came to that was a bit more refined. So after that, I actually said that the text should be a bit different. And I also said that the title is a bit boring. So we need to make it more curiosity driven in the prompt. So here I was basically just being a product manager and I was just directing AI to achieve some things. It was automatically adjusting its own prompt to the AI so that it could bring in a better image. For consistency, I also said that the brand should be consistent. It should have the same formats. It should have the same code tip written here. Only the visuals should change, all right? So that we could have some brand consistency. And as you can see at my blog section here, it is pretty consistent for the most part here, all right? Okay, so till now, so we finally had, as you can see, a generated cover image here, and we had a blog content here based on that code and all of that title and the description explaining all of that code, all right? Now we could copy markdown and we could copy image, but what I really wanted was to actually ease out the process of creating a blog post on my Next.js blog as well. So for that, I also went into a rabbit hole again, and we discussed lots of things. So the first thing was how to publish it on my Next.js blog. And obviously, AI came up with a lot of ways to do it using OAuth and posting it directly on GitHub. But all of that was a bit more complex. So I said, well, why not do it locally? And AI suggested itself that we could create a local webhook. Now, I already had a script that I was using on my Next.js site, which would actually create a boilerplate for my blog post, a markdown file. It would take in a cover image URL and it would copy that in my file in the specific location that I wanted. So I just gave it the whole script in the code here. And as a result, it actually created a webhook server with a specific endpoint which I could run locally. And then this social snippets generator app would automatically post it on my local webhook server. So if I show you that again, so you can see that this is working locally, and I just posted this one while I was showing you the demo earlier on in the video. So after that, I would just verify that. I would just change a few things here and there, and I would post it on my blog for everyone to see. Another thing, it would get the URL back from that webhook endpoint, and it also added that URL at the end in my Twitter and social posts, right? So if I show you the final version here, you would see that there is this nice little read more on the blog here, linking to my blog endpoint as well at the end, leading to my blog link here, providing for a nice little cross post between my blog and my social channels so that I could drive more traffic to my blog. So this was also me thinking like a product manager at the end. And so the last decision that I made, which is closely linked to this, was that I settled for simplicity over going for that complicated process of posting through GitHub or creating a PR for that purpose, all right? So this was nice and sweet and simple, and it was local. There was no chance of security issues popping up, and I could do it really quickly and I could just post it on my blogs. So all of this led me to my final social snippet generator, as you can see here, and it has really sped up my workflow here. So I could just post a snippet now. If I have everything ready, if I have the description in my head, I could just write a quick description, a title and a code snippet, and I could just post it in 5 to 10 minutes maximum on my blog and on my socials. Excuse me, now I have to create a social snippet generator. I have some idea of a snippet that I want to share with you guys. And thanks to this app, I'm going to do it much faster now. So I hope you like this video of a walkthrough of how the vibe coding process works and how you can direct your AI when vibe coding or when even using a cursor or other platforms to actually go for the app that you want for the final result that you want. So thanks for watching, and you are more than welcome to get the code. The link is in the description. It's all free. It's on GitHub so that you can look and learn from it and also extend upon it if you'd like to. And if you'd like more AI related content on my channel, do subscribe and do give me a comment below so that I could know that you are interested in more such content. 2026 is going to be really hot for AI, and so you really need to be on top of your game to use AI best in your development. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time in another interesting video.